Good afternoon, everyone. And we reached a last panel after, I think, an intense and very interesting day. And the last panel was devoted to the economics of data. And we will further characterize the digital ecosystem, exploring the legal and governance aspect between beyond the data usage in the IoT and already the data monetization. And we let the social data impact for next time, I think. Um, and so in a few words, I will introduce myself and make a link between what I'm working about and about with data, because I'm not working about data already. I'm Nadia Filali, and I'm head of a blockchain program in Caisse des Dépôts, and I co-lead a LabChain, that is a consortia with banks, insurance, startups, and academics in France. And I'm also a member of the European Blockchain Observatory Forum. And at Caisse des Dépôts, we launched blockchain programs now 4 years ago. And most of our partners in financial industry had vaguely heard about Bitcoin, but few about blockchain and this potentiality of the technology. And we realized that the application of blockchain technology was not reduced only of financial sector, and the later fit within the spectrum of blockchain application, all proposing an alternative methodology for data storage and data management, and to innovation and modernizing the economy of data. And after a clear understanding of the benefit that technology can bring, decentralization, transparency, and automation, we started to approach problem in a different manner, understanding that thanks to the blockchain technology, it's possible to give user back control of their personal data and gain in terms of data management costs at the same time. And for example, it became an evidence to us to exploring blockchain application for the banking KYC, know your customers, procedure, and the later result significantly costly and time consuming for banks or financial institutions, but we can also apply this application to attribute of identity and other things. And moreover, clients are asked to provide the same information and again over the each with their different banks of our insurance company. And if we apply the KYC with a blockchain infrastructure, we can apply a once-only principle and for all the customer and the banks. And if it's allowed by the law, because for the moment it's not allowed by the law, we can also share the information between the different entity. And client can decide who can see the data, when data can be available, and for which purpose data can be used. And it's an important thing, because blockchain is not a database. I think it's an evidence, but you can make the link between the points that we are talking about here, and using this infrastructure. I think it's not the debate of today, but I think it's an important link.
Fortunately.
Yes. And the previous panel explored some conflicting themes about asset personalization, control of personal data, ethics, and competition. And regulation as the task of ensuring and allowing a trade-off between these themes characterizing our modern society. And today the regulation is guaranteeing a good trade-off or not. What are the main difficulties in governing data and economy? And automatic and atomic protocol can facilitate or not data governance. It could be some points. But our panelists will answer some questions, providing an insight on the perspective of the data economy in terms of governance, regulation, and or not social motivation, sorry. And I will introduce the panel. I cannot see you with my eyes, but I cannot read without my eyes. So sorry about it. And so we have here, and pleased to be with you, Valérie Laure Benamou, professor of private law at the University of Aix-Marseille, former director and researcher at the Laboratory on Business Law and New Technology at the University of Versailles-Saint-Quentin-en-Yvelines. She's a specialist in the law of cultural industry, and she's working on a very important subject of revenue of the data. I will talk about it just after introduce Wolfgang Kerber, professor of economics at the University of Marburg. Marburg, sorry, I never speak Dutch. His fields in German, because just it's the country behind you. Its research include international competition policy, intellectual property, institutional economics, innovation economics, and European integration, and multi-level legal system. It's that? Yes. Thank you. And I think we will begin with you, Wolfgang. No, it's you. Ah, sorry. Sorry. So we will begin with you on the subject of the monetization of data. How we can include the diversity of data, and how we can break the silo between the kind of data. How we can perhaps make the distinction between the different form of revenue, and identify something that it's more than only one price. I don't know if that. No, it's not that.
You will see.
Yes, you will see, and make the difference between the property and the revenue on the data. Thank you, Valérie.